conversations on topics affecting Hawaii's youth, ohana, and community.
Aloha mai kako. Welcome and mahalo for joining us at our very first segment of Kukakuka, which means respectful discussion. And that's exactly what we're here to do. So kicking off our very first segment, Kipa, our host organization of this talk story, is going to be sharing a little bit about ourselves. What is Kipa? Who is Kipa? You know that we've been around for 53 years, and I still hear people asking, where's Kipa? So we will be spending this time just getting you acclimated to what we do here at Kipa. And so I've invited a few guests to join me. Oh, and by the way, this is unscripted, so we just want, when you kuka, you just talk story, right? It's the essence behind why you're talking story, is to really hear, understand, be curious, right? And to be kuka is to be respectful during your time of discussion. So, I am Venus Kawioka Rossetti Medeiros, and I am the president and CEO of Kipa. And today I invited our Chief Administrative Officer, Dory Tiao. And I asked Dory to kind of walk us through the history of Kipa. Okay, so Dory, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great, thanks Venus.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what made you join Kipa, first of all, and what is your key responsibilities?
Okay. Well, I have been with Kipa for 32 years.
32 years?
Yep. Started off actually as a social worker running one of the emergency shelter programs, and then moved to various positions through the agency. And then in 2004, I moved into the HR role. So that's what I've been primarily doing since that time.
So, Dory, coming from your background is social work, and we know here in Hawaii, we're always looking for social workers, right? What made you join Kipa? Of all the other organizations you could have selected, why Kipa?
Well, when I interviewed at Kipa, I had just gotten my master's degree in social work, and I had interviewed at other places, but there was something about the energy and of the woman who interviewed me. She's no longer with Kipa, but something about that, and I just really wanted to work in an organization that was working with youth and families, and having an opportunity to provide youth who are struggling with support and direction, and just to be there. And I really felt like when I interviewed that that's what Kipa was about.
Oh, that's great. Now, I just joined Kipa a year and 6 months ago. So I don't know a lot of the history behind Kipa. So do you mind kind of walking us through the brief history of Kipa in its last 53 years serving Hawaii's youth?
Yep. Okay, sure. So Kipa started in 1970, and it began with a community being really concerned about youth who were on the streets engaging in really at-risk behaviors. So a combination of the community, the police, the court system, and the junior league came together, and we secured a site at St. Andrew's Cathedral downtown as a safe haven. So that's really where Kipa started. And so youth were able to come there and just have a safe place to be. And then we were incorporated shortly after that, and then began to purchase homes to really build on the emergency shelter concept. And so for the first 2 decades, I'd say that really was our core, was emergency shelter services. And then we just expanded to provide different kinds of services, primarily to youth, to adolescents, independent living, youth outreach, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit later, a program called YO in Waikiki. Those are some of the ones that started in the early time of Kipa. And then in, so the 70s, 80s, in the 90s, which is when I started, we were going through, starting to go through a lot of change. So from primarily being shelter, I think the agency went through some challenging times because funding was always an issue. We were primarily funded by the Department of Human Services. And then there was just a lot of concern that funding was going to get cut. So I think
Well, that was, you were hitting the recession time, right? It started in...
almost there, not quite there, but I know we were really struggling with our funding sources. So I think that's when the agency decided that we really needed to look at diversification. So in 1999, part of what we did to prepare for that was we became accredited. And being accredited was quite a rigorous process. So we have been accredited since 1999, and we just went through the 6th reaccreditation process. So we've been an agency that has been accredited for quite some time now. But being accredited, what it did, it really opened up the doors for Hale Kipa. So we were able to apply for funding through different funding sources.
See, those of you who are looking for an organization to fund, that you want to make sure that we're doing it right and in sync, we are accredited, just so you know.
Yep, best practice. So we started to expand into programs with the Department of Health, the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Division, and that really opened the doors for us, because then we started a continuum of care in a residential therapeutic group home setting. We had therapeutic foster care that we added to our existing foster care program. And then we also opened up 2 community-based residentials for 5 to 12-year-olds in that period of time. So
You mean 5-year-olds?
5 to 12-year-olds,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a little bit out of our wheelhouse, because we were primarily servicing 12 to 17. But we did that for a bit of time. And then that year, so now we're in the 2000s. And in the mid-2000s is when we expanded again, and we opened the Hawaii Advocate Program, which is kind of like a branch off of the National Youth Advocate Program. And this is servicing youth who are in the juvenile justice system. The explosion in Hale Kipa at that point, we had about 250 employees. We have 125 right now. So it was quite large. The agency really expanded to a number of employees. And then that is also when we went statewide. So not only providing services on Oahu, we are providing services on Hawaii Island, Maui, and Kauai. And so we had a number of different programs going at the same time. Now, then the recession.
Then the
recession hit.
Yes.
And that was huge for us. It was a struggle. We did lose quite a bit of funding with that HAP program. And so the agency had to downsize considerably. And then we also then let go of some of the Department of Health programs as well. But during that period, I mean, even though we were downsizing and we were losing funding, I think that's one of the really good things about Hale Kipa is we are very resilient, and we were able to rebound and continue to build and service different kinds of service areas. So we stayed on all the neighbor islands and continued to provide services. We were looking at different kinds of contracts, primarily, again, still in the juvenile justice, child welfare realm, and also the therapeutic component. So we went up and down, but I think through it all, the main point for us was to just stay connected to what the community needs were, and then respond as we were able to respond to that.
You know, that's been the reoccurring theme, I think, I've been hearing from most of the other community-based organizations, is that Hale Kipa has remained resilient. Yeah. You know, even during COVID, right, Dory?
Oh, yeah.
We didn't shut our doors. We continued to serve our youth and our families. And, you know, when you're dealing with young people who need a place to stay in shelters, you know, the community needs to be aware that we did not turn away any youth.
Yep.
We still kept them in our shelters. So mahalo, and I know that HR had a lot to do with that.
There was a lot going on at that
right?
time.
And having to pivot around some of the rules, all of the different things that came with wanting to be safe.
Yes.
And, you know, but at the same time being able to still serve our young
Service,
people.
yeah.
That was a commitment.
Yep.
So mahalo for that and what our department did.
Yep.
Now, I wanted to ask you, what is something, Dory, that you would like the community to know around your area of administrative? I know that people are in dire need of workers, right? We're all struggling as community-based organizations, what is something that you would like as your message to the community?
That Hale Kipa really is a sound organization, and under your leadership, I think we've really come to a point where the youth, not that we weren't doing this before, but it's really important to focus on not only the youth and the families and the young adults, but also very much taking care of our employees and our staff. Like you mentioned today, being able to provide something for the staff with the massage and all of that. That was wonderful.
Yeah, we had chair massages today, you guys.
That was
chair
great.
massages.
That was great, and I think it sends a really strong message to the staff that we do care about them. And I think it's important for us to take care of our staff so that the staff can then serve the youth and the families. So I just want people to know that this is a really solid organization.
Oh, mahalo, Doreen. That's a great message to leave behind. And then also joining us, we have Michelle Jenkins, who is our Chief Program Officer. And so I wanted to give the time for Michelle to kind of explain, Michelle, what is the structure of Hale Kipa? Like, how do we operate? What are the programs that we're offering?
Sure. So Hale Kipa is composed of about 20 different programs right now, and we have 4 divisions.
Hey, Kalamai, let me interrupt, because this is unscripted. Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself,
okay.
and then also, your main role and what brought you to Hale Kipa.
Okay, sure. So, like you said, my name is Michelle. I'm Chief Program Officer, but only for the last 6 months. And prior to that, I was the program coordinator for Oahu's CAMHD programs, Child and Adolescent Mental Health Division programs. So, overseeing the 3 levels of mental health care that we provide to children and youth and young adults on Oahu. And so I did that since about 2019. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and it's just an area, a passion of mine to give back to the youth and young people. They are absolutely our future, and we know that mental health services are critical and can be very difficult for a young person to seek out or obtain. And so I really believe in removing those barriers, and that's what led me to join Hale Kipa.
That's wonderful. You mentioned that our youth are our future, and one of the things I believe Hale Kipa also looks at is that our youth are our present too, right? And everything that's happening right now is impacting our youth. And so not only are we looking at how they're going to show up later in life, but how are they now?
Right.
Right? And what are we doing to take care of them now?
Right.
So could you now kind of explain a little bit about the programs we have?
Sure. So we're organized into 4 departments, and those are our residential services, our outreach services, therapeutic services, and our newest branch is Ohana Resilience Services.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you look at when you're looking at programs for Hale Kipa? What are some of the key things that you look for?
We want to always make sure that our youth come to us knowing they're going to find a safe and welcoming environment, that they know that we are going to believe in them, we're going to move at a pace that works for them, and that we are going to, our answer is yes, we're going to find a way to get it done. We are not a no environment, we're very much a yes environment, and any way that we can help you, we're going to do that.
That's wonderful. And then if you were to leave a message behind, and it's something that the community wants to know, because I hear this all the time. You community-based organizations need to learn to work together, right? Especially from funders. And I totally understand that, because they want to make sure that they're getting the best return on investment, right? So could you share a little bit about what that message would be that you want the public to know about our Hale Kipa programs?
I think Hale Kipa has really earned its reputation as the place where you can come if everybody else has told you no. We are often the last stop, and we are well aware of that, so we're going to make sure it works out for you this time. And so I just want the community to know that we're the ones that are always around, and that will be there, to the very end.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I heard at one time, people thought there was this kind of myth that Hale Kipa only work with the naughty kids, the kolohe, which means rascal, but those kids. And of course, we love them all, right? Now, is that true? We only work with naughty kids?
No, and to tell you the truth, I don't know if I even believe there is such a thing as naughty kids. I think there's people with challenges and obstacles, and we often intersect with people while they're navigating them. But we're a place for all youth. If if we offer a service that you could benefit from, we'll find a way to connect.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you coming
Thank
in
you.
and sharing. Aloha, and welcome back to Kukakuka. With me, I have Stacy Pyler, who is our Director of Residential Services. And I also have Alika Campbell, who is our Program Coordinator for our YO program. We're going to hear a little bit more about YO coming up, but we want to start off with Stacy. Stacy, how long have you been with Hale Kipa, and what made you come to work for Hale Kipa?
Well, actually, in September, it'll make 7 years for me.
Wow.
So it went by really fast. So, and what made me come to Hale Kipa was just, I heard a lot of good things about Hale Kipa, the people that was running it at that time, and just the programs that they were offering in the youth programs. And I love working with youth, so that's what made me go to Hale Kipa.
That's wonderful. Now, you are the Director of Residential Services. Can you share a little bit about what that is and what we do under residential services?
Sure, exactly. So what it means is I'm the director of all the residential services in Hale Kipa, one being the emergency shelter, which we take 12 to 17 years old. Basically, we get a lot of referrals from child welfare services as well as family courts. We do take some walk-ins as well. So, if parents out there are having a hard time with their kids, can give us a phone call and we can see what we can do to help them out. Also run another shelter, it's called TLP. It's actually a transitional living program, and these are for homeless young adults, ages 18 to 21.
18 to
18 to 21. And then I also have another shelter for sex trafficking. So that shelter is a little private, but we do work with commercial exploited young individuals.
Yeah. So in totality, how many shelters does Hale Kipa have right now?
About 8.
8.
Yeah.
See, some people think that Hale Kipa only has one emergency shelter.
No, we have multiple around the island of Oahu. We actually take statewide. So if you live on the Big Island, Molokai, Maui, they're welcome to come to our shelter.
Oh, that is wonderful to know, right? So those of you who live on Neighbor Island, if you know a young person needs a shelter, please contact us at Hale Kipa. So can you give us a little bit of statistics about how many of our young people, what's the primary, I would say, demographic of our young person coming into our emergency shelter?
Usually around 14, 15, lots of local kids. The shelter was set up to be a 30-day placement. Now we're looking at average 8 to 9 months.
Wow.
So it's not unusual that a youth would be with us for sometimes a year.
And why is that? Why would they stay that long?
To my understanding, lack of foster homes on the island and even statewide. So like I said earlier, a lot of times we do get kids from Maui, the Big Island, Kauai, all over.
So we do have foster homes as well?
Yes, we do.
And so I know that we're always looking for more foster families. So just so you know, when we don't have enough foster placements, right, homes to place our young people, they stay in a shelter with us. Not that that's a bad thing, because it's hella nice. And it's not only hella nice, they are loved and they're cared for like people like Stacy, right? So, but just so you know, putting a shout out there for more foster parents. So another thing I wanted to ask you is there any community partners that we're partnering with in our shelters that you want to just acknowledge and give a shout out to?
Of course. So we definitely work with Liliuokalani Trust. We also work with Inspire Church. They have multiple groups in their church, and then we work closely with one called Bake a Blessing. So what they do is they bake special birthday cakes for our kids.
Wow.
So on their birthday, we email them and we say, hey, Sarah has a birthday tomorrow. She's turning 16. And sure enough, they show up at our doorstep the next day with a personalized cake that has Sarah's name on it.
That is so special.
That's awesome.
And now I've heard that for some of these young people, when they get that cake, they've never had a birthday cake.
No, so for most of our youth, never had a birthday cake. So just presenting it with the birthday cake with their name on it is huge.
It is huge. Now, are there anything other than the birthday cake, that the community can help to support the shelter? I know there's so many people out there that's like, I want to help, but I don't know how or what to do.
Of course, by all means. So we take donations, clothing donations. There's a lot of times our kids show up at our doorsteps with just the clothes on their back. We do take food donations, canned goods, school supplies, hygiene products, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant. We take anything.
Yeah. And cash. We take cash.
We take cash too. You know, the contracts are really small, and not all the time that they, cover the cost. So cash is very much welcome.
Exactly. You know, when you think about our government contracts, right, who's been kind of flat for the last 10 years and it doesn't really help us with cost of living.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the COLA, like, we really need to fundraise to help
Exactly.
our staff
That's
who
right.
work tirelessly,
Definitely.
supporting our young people.
Of course.
All right, Alika, I have some questions for you. Kind of the same thing around how long have you been with Hale Kipa and what brought you to Hale Kipa?
If I do the math, I think I'm coming up on my 28th year
Wow.
with Hale Kipa. I started as a relief night manager in the emergency shelters back in '93, and then have been case manager in a couple of different programs, and I've worked my way up to being the program coordinator now for youth outreach, Guide on the Side, and Housing First programs.
That is so wonderful. And, I need to mention to you that I bumped into a young person one day who knew that I was part of Hale Kipa, and they mentioned your name. They said, oh my gosh, is Alika Campbell still there? And they were like grown already,
Yeah.
with wife and Keiki.
It makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So why did you choose Hale Kipa, Alika?
I didn't purposely choose it the first time in '93. I'd freshly graduated, and it was kind of my first real job. And when I came back, I left for a couple of years in '95, and I came back in '97. And I came back because I'd had a really great experience the first time, and Hale Kipa was really good people, and really did a good job of taking care of the staff, as well as providing excellent services. And I knew I wanted to be a part of that again, and so
Nice.
that's what brought me back.
That's so nice. Now, you are the coordinator of our YO program. Can you share a little bit about YO and what you do?
Sure. YO stands for Youth Outreach. We're a collaboration between Hale Kipa and Waikiki Health. We work with runaway, homeless, street identified youth and young adults. No minimum age. We work with folks up to the age of 22. We kind of have two main components to the program. We have a drop-in center located in Waikiki, and we do street outreach.
So is this drop-in center like a secret, or like is it open?
So we're open for drop-in 4 afternoons a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, from 3 to 6. We're not open earlier in the day because the runaways are supposed to be going to school. I know that they don't go to school, but I got to honor the idea that they should. We don't want YO to be the reason that they didn't go to school. So we're open 3 to 6. We serve a hot meal. They can come in, take a shower, do their laundry, get seen in the medical clinic. We try to be as much of a one-stop shop as we can for basic needs. The address is 415 Keohaniana Street.
Okay, it's got that.
Kind of at the Eva end of Waikiki, right before Kuhio and Kalakaua split. We try to be low profile, but it's not secret. And that's where the outreach workers come in. We have outreach workers that go out with snacks, hygiene items, information referral cards, and basically wander the street, meet folks out there. Hey, how's it going? Do you need anything tonight? Here's the snacks, here's the condoms, whatever. And if you need more services, come on into the drop-in center. And so once you come in, we try to build connection and relationship with you, and then maybe do a little bit of gentle guidance. Because they're smarter than us and they know everything. So they can't, I can't tell them what to do. I gotta, build that trust and relationship.
That's wonderful, and I think that's the thing that Hale Kipa does good at, right? Is that we see them for who they are, and we take them in as they are, right? And they might come and go, but we take them back. They want to leave. You mentioned the drop-in center, and as you were listing all the different things that is available there, it really is a one-stop shop.
Almost completely. It's not a shelter. So at the end of the day, you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. But we'll try to connect you up to shelters if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah, so that's my next question. Let's say a young person says, okay, I'm tired of living this life, and I really want to,
Right.
transition.
Get off the street.
Get off the streets.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Depending on your age, if you're a minor, hey, maybe we'll steer you over to Stacy. If you're a young adult, 18 to 22, hey, maybe we'll steer you over to Stacy for transitional. If you're a family, we'll send you off to family shelter. We participate in a larger system called the Coordinated Entry System, which is a collaboration of pretty much all of the different homeless service providers on Oahu. And we'll do a basic, it's kind of like a survey with you. It's called a VI SPDAT. And depending on how you score, you get directed to different type of housing resources. And so we'll do all that with you, and we'll help you through all of the steps of that.
That's wonderful. Now, are you looking for staff right now?
We are. Not specifically for the YO program, but we have a couple of offshoots of YO called Housing First and Guide on the Side, and I'm hiring case managers for both of those positions.
Wonderful. Stacy, back to you. Are you looking for staff?
Oh, most definitely. Yes. So we have a shelter in Kalihi. So I'm looking for a case manager there. And we're also looking for full-time youth counselors that will work with the kids in the shelter 24/7.
Great. So you heard that. If anything tugged at your heart and you want to come and work for Hale Kipa, we have some openings for you. Now, Lika, you mentioned that you're part of this larger collaborative. Is there any particular community partner that you want to acknowledge and kind of let our community know that we're joining hands and working together with?
Sure. So Waikiki Health has been our partners in youth outreach, YO, since 1989, since the very beginning. So mad props to them.
Yeah.
They do all of the health medical services at the drop-in center. Totally couldn't do it without them. And then YO is also in a collaboration, a multi-agency collaboration called Mobile Crisis Outreach with RISE and H3RC. And then the Guide on the Side program is another collaborative program where we're teamed up with Waikiki Health again, as well as Epic Ohana.
Oh, wonderful.
So we have sort of strong community partners that we're working with.
See, and I think that's a great thing for the community to understand, that we're not working in silos. We're not doing this alone because we can't. And so we really need to join hands with other organizations out there. And, just so you know that we are really being as collaborative as we possibly can for the sake of our youth and our families. So one last question, guys. If you could leave the community with one, exhortation or something that you would like them to know about Hale Kipa or the program that you're doing, what would that be? And you can look right at that camera right there and speak to them. This camera.
Yep. That's a hard question. I'll take a shot at it. So that's a big question. As you referenced earlier, helping in any way, shape, or form, that's always welcome. YO lives off of their donations. We're always in the market for youth-friendly clothing, backpacks, hygiene items, all of that kind of basic stuff. Every now and then we'll do like a service project. We have a Rotary Club coming in the next couple of weeks to do a service project, help fix up the place. It was built in 1940s, kind of held together in termite spit and duct tape. So, all that sort of community help is welcome. And then I think maybe just on another level is just be active and be engaged, and maybe you're not passionate like I am about working with homeless youth, but find what you're passionate about and do something in that field, because every little bit makes a difference. Every pebble raises the water level a little bit, and you can do that.
That's a great message. Alika, wonderful.
That's
How about you,
awesome.
Stacey?
Well, for us with the shelter and worker with child welfare services and the teenagers, a lot of the stuff is confidential. So it's not like anybody can come to the doorstep and volunteer their services. However, like I mentioned earlier, our contracts are very slim and money is always an issue. So any donation, monetary products, backpacks, school supplies is greatly welcome.
Yeah, and I think, of course, we're always looking for unrestricted funds. So those are the funds that helps to fill the gaps, because our contracts with the state doesn't cover all of it. So good point in that we could use some of that, once again, to fill the gaps because we're very, organic and we like to go with the flow. And then as needs arise, we want to be able to address those needs. So Lika, what about, you mentioned that it would be, the kinds of things that you could use. How do they get it to you? Do they just show up?
You can just show up. You can call ahead. You can reach us at 808-942-5858. That's the office number. And we serve a hot meal every day. And so if you're interested in donating a meal, awesome. If you just, hey, here's some ingredients, awesome. We'll Iron Chef that together into something sort of youth-friendly. Yeah, give us a call. Say, hey, I want to be involved somehow, and we'll help brainstorm with you.
Mahalo nui. So to close out, give us that address once again.
415 Keoniana Street, Keoniana Street. That's in Waikiki, right before Kuhio and Kalakaua split.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Aloha. Aloha and welcome back to Kukakuka. Now joining us, I have two really exciting women to share about their programs. Brandy Akimo, who is our Director of Ohana Resilience Services. How's that name, right? Ohana Resilience Services, which is a brand new program of Hale Kipa. So we're going to be talking to her shortly. And we also have Lauda Bruchaham, who is our Chief Quality Improvement Officer and our Training Director. So before we get to Lauda, let me turn to you, Brandy. You're like the new kid on the block at Hale Kipa, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you share a little bit about when did you start with Hale Kipa and what brought you to Hale Kipa to begin with?
Thank you. You know, I've been with the agency now for a little over 2 months, and I'm here because I have a passion for serving families and for bringing the element of aloha into the work. And you know, not that it's not there, but certainly, you know, spending some time away, you know, in the mental health field, and you know, being able to find my way back to families and to really kind of serve the mission of Hale Kipa, which is now, you know, with this new edition of Ohana Resilient Services at Hale Ku'ola, you know, the agency will now be able to serve families from 0 to the elderly population.
Right. So it's the whole intergenerational, right? From birth to hala, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be serving them. So we're excited. I know that this is something that Hale Kipa has been looking forward to, like actually having a place. You mentioned Hale Ku'ola. Can you share what is Hale Ku'ola?
Sure. So the place for Ohana Resilient Services will be served out of Hale Ku'ola, which is the former girls' shelter, the emergency girls' shelter on Renton Road. And it's a walk-in center, and it's a place where individuals, families who need can just walk in, and you know, we can provide the necessary supports that they might need, be it food, shelter, some counseling supports, you know, informal counseling, and we're really there for the community. And so it doesn't matter if you live in Ewa or not. Our goal is to serve the greater, you know, geographics outside of Ewa, Kapolei, and you know, even the whole Ahupua'a really. But first, we need to, you know, get people there, you know, into the doors to know that we are present and that we're here.
And we haven't officially opened our doors yet, but we will, right? So we're on target to open. And you know, this particular program started from a appropriation grant with Senator Hirono. And you know, those appropriation grants is only a year. So you know, like that show, Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. This is kind of one of those things, right? Build it and they will come. So we're taking, you know, like stepping out by faith, we're building it. We know families need support. We're going to expect our doors to be wide open within a couple months. As families come, we're going to need more funding for it though, right?
Absolutely.
So Brandy, you mentioned that you have a desire working with families, right? Which brought you to Hale Kipa to apply for this position. But why Hale Kipa? What are you finding? Because I know you've worked with families in the past.
Sure.
So why Hale Kipa?
You know, I think now, especially under new leadership, a lot of who I am and my character and my being is really aligned, you know, with the core principles, you know, of the agency, which is aloha, malama, pilina, hilina'i. And I might be missing another one, but malama, laulima, which is working together. Thank you. Where's our tag? You know, but I do think that as a whole, you know, as I look towards, you know, who I am professionally, and then wherever I go is that does it align with who I am? And so certainly, and not saying that in my previous work it wasn't, but I think now fully, more completely, I would say that being a part of an agency under new leadership, under new directorship, and this new kind of vision to help build out into the community to include families, I was like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, we're so happy that you joined our Ohana for sure. Now,
Great to be here.
You did say that part of coming to Hale Ku'ola, we might be able to have some sheltering. Can you share a little bit about what that would look like?
Sure. And I think the overall goal really is for Ohana Resilient Services is to prevent child abuse and neglect. Because we do see a lot of that, with our children and youth served, in just many programs in and of itself. And so with that in mind, what we look at is, what are some of the things that parents are stressed about these days? And some of it could actually be just housing.
Right.
Many in the area are homeless, or maybe they're in between, maybe they're couch surfing, or maybe parents, parenting is tough. And so being able to provide a shelter for young women, men, for the women, who are currently, perhaps even pregnant or have children, just being able to bring them in to help stabilize them, for a short period of time, would really help them so that they can propel forward and really flourish, be able to maintain a job, be able to, maintain the consistency in the community so that when times get tough,
And
that,
they do.
yes,
And they do.
and clearly they do for all of us, that and so that when times are tough, that they know that they can actually rely on agencies like Hale Kipa, Ohana Resilient Services, and so so it's certainly our desire to be able to open up the capacity of our program or of the house itself to be able to serve up to 2 families. Yeah.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Now, can you share a little bit about Hale Ku'ola? What does that mean?
Sure.
Because we've said pu'uhonua, like a safe and nurturing place, but this is really specific. Sure. And this was a name I know that you actually championed, and you wanted to name this Hale Ku'ola. So can you share?
Yeah. Sure. So what it does is it takes the concept of what a pu'uhonua is, which is safety, right? And so here in Hawaii we may think of a certain area on Hawaii Island where families, individuals, or people who were in danger could go and get reprieve and to feel safe. So really it's about taking that concept of the pu'uhonua and being able to kind of incorporate really what we think about families. And so really we desire for families to be alive and well. And that is what ku'ola means, is alive and well, free from danger. And so when we open up our space, and the space itself, yes, is to be able to provide that safety net for the families, but also as safe people. So the staff that we have, it's myself and then Kim Rivera right now, because we are building.
Now this is great. Now, people say they're counselors, social workers, this and that, but what is the name of our workers who are working with families?
Sure. Ohana Success Coaches.
How's that? Ohana Success Coach. We already know they're going to be successful. Right? And we're just there to coach them. Right? Yeah. I love that.
Well, and it's really a concept that I learned about from you years ago.
They don't know that.
But just as important as having a space, the actual house, be safe and approachable, we desire to have the staff that are and that embody those qualities of safety and of aloha and really the core principles of the agencies. And so I do believe that myself and Kim Rivera, who is a Ohana Success Coach, really do truly embody that. And so that when you do walk through the doors, or even if you call, that it's a safe place, and that this person, and I can talk to them.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want. And so oftentimes, and it's really great that that the agency was able to work with the senator on being able to kind of get the funds necessary, because what it does is is it allows us the opportunity to perhaps serve families and individuals who may not necessarily walk into a place like a mental health clinic or even their doctor's office for that matter. Because literally when you're walking to Hale Ku'ola or you walk into Hale, it is a house. It is like walking
It's
into
a
your
beautiful
house.
house. It's a plantation, old plantation, like a Luna's house, right? And so it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Mahalo, Brandy.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
So Lauda, you once again are the chief that's overseeing, right, our quality improvement. And not just quality improvement, but also assurance, right? Because we want to assure that we are operating at that top quality level. Can you share a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So as the Chief Quality Improvement Officer, it's really important as an organization that you're constantly inspecting and evaluating, what are we doing well and where can we improve? And I think Hale Ku'ola is a perfect example of a little niche that we were overlooking and we needed to build and just kind of birth it out, bring it out into the community to invite the family members of the young people that we have been serving since 1970, right? So we do a lot of surveying, collection of data because we want to understand factually what is coming up with what people might be sharing about what's going well, what's missing, how satisfied are our youth, their families that we might be serving. Are they feeling safe? Are they feeling respected? Are they feeling empowered to do the work that they can do, that we believe that they can do, even if sometimes they come to us and may not have that inside as a success coach, right? We know that they can get there. So when we evaluate and we take in this information, it's an opportunity for us to see, okay, what's missing? Where are we falling short? And what I love about quality improvement or quality insurance is that it's a consistent growth mindset. You're always having an opportunity to do better. And there's no perfect ending because with new technology and new employees and new ideas and creativity, we can grow and we can
also,
innovate.
like things that's happening that's beyond our control, like COVID when that happened,
Yes.
right? And we had to pivot, we had to shift a little bit, right?
We
But we have
did.
the ability to do so because we're so nimble.
Exactly. And we did, to speak, a little bit about that during COVID. We stayed fully accessible to anyone we were serving. And if we had to convert to phone calls versus a virtual session, if we couldn't see you in person, we did what we could to maintain that relationship. So, and that's our goal. We never want to drop our services, right? When things shift and things happen, we really want to have those conversations on, okay, how do we need to shift now? Because we want to continue to be in pilina and be in connection.
You bring up a good point, and it's keep it and be resilient and keep chugging along if we know that that's what's serving our community, but also being brave enough and courageous enough to face the fact that maybe this is not what the community really needs.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be times where we may have to do we really still need this program, right? And some people think that maybe if you sunset a program that it's a failure, but no. Because there's another sunrise coming up, right? You're sunsetting, but you're sunrising on this eye now.
That's right.
And like Hale Ku'ola and our Ohana Resilience Center and trauma-informed care. Maybe you can touch quickly on what is Hale Kipa doing to be trauma-informed as an organization?
Yeah, so to be trauma-informed means that you are really paying attention to how you show up to the workplace and how you show up in your relationship with those we're privileged to serve alongside with. So, for example, if I've had a rough day at home, maybe it was hard getting the kids out the door, and that emotion is still with me, I need to take my drive to work to really reflect on, okay, now I'm going to be working with some precious people, including my colleagues. Do I want to bring that energy, or am I going to have the courage and the bravery to put that aside so that I can be the best that I can be to make sure Brandy's uplifted, to make sure Neilani is uplifted, to whoever I get to encounter for that day. So what I bring out, the way I hold my conversations, the way I do my work, the way that I want you to grow and succeed, I have to really pay attention to me. And that includes self-care, right? So as an organization, we've been talking a lot about self-care.
Absolutely.
If my cup is filled, I can now spill over, right? And create a safe space for the youth and families I'm serving. I can create a space of collaboration and uplifting their voice. And so, for example, when I allow our young people to bring in their voice and bring in their dreams and collaborate with me rather than me saying, well, I really think you should plan it this way and only do it this way, then that could chip away at who they are. That could chip away at their
So
culture.
what you're saying is listening.
Listening is very,
And
very
to
important.
kilo, to observe, to
Yes.
be aware, right, of those things unsaid
Yes,
and unseen.
exactly.
Right? That's very
Yeah.
indigenous, very
Yeah.
Hawaiian.
Yeah.
So mahalo for
Yeah.
that. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You know, what would happen, Laura, in your opinion, what would happen if Hale Kipa was not providing all of these wonderful programs that we just talked about earlier?
Well, we have over 20. We're about to have, I think, close to 22 now with opening up of the Ohana Resilient Services, and it's going to continue to grow. When we take away all of this, we are missing out on reaching more than 2,000 young people a year, and they're potentially their Ohana, people that are connected to them in one way or another. We are taking away the potential capacity of brilliant minds and people that come together to provide services to our community. Hale Kipa has been known to work with young people for 53 years now, and there are other organizations
I mean,
in there
that's
that do
something
pockets.
to be said itself,
Yeah,
right?
and
In
there-
itself.
Yeah, and there-
53 years.
exactly. And there are some that do pockets of the work, and we like to collaborate and work together. We are one of the largest, if not the largest, in working with young people. We want to ensure that people are thriving, that their dreams are coming to a place where they can make Hawaii even a better place for tomorrow, for their keiki someday, right?
Absolutely. So I just want to mahalo you ladies. You guys were wonderful. Thank you for sharing your mana'o and about what you do, your passion. And like our other speakers previous to Laura and Brandy, you can feel the passion. You can hear the passion in their voices and why they're a part of Hale Kipa. So now I'd like you to welcome with me two of our board members. We have our current chair of Hale Kipa's board, Scott Siu, and we also have our incoming chair, who will be coming in August, right?
September.
Oh, September. Okay, September. Michael
What year?
Manguay.
I'm good with August if he's a good guy.
Okay, so I have, I
we're
have
glad
a couple.
to be here.
I have a couple questions. I know two really, really busy guys, right? But I really am curious. You are two very renowned people in our community. You've given back so much to our business community as well as just our community of Hawaii in general. You had many different nonprofits you could serve on. Why Hale Kipa? What made you choose Hale Kipa to serve on? And maybe you can let us know how long you've been a board member. Scott?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll go first. So I've been on the Hale Kipa board since I believe it's 2009. I have to go check every now and then just to make sure, but it's been about that long. When I joined Hale Kipa, this was the very first nonprofit board I ever joined, and so back in those days, I knew that it was important to serve, right? To get involved in especially and help our nonprofits. And honestly, I was looking for an agency that had a good reputation, that was really making a positive impact, especially for in the area of our kids, right? And so I had just a sense of what I wanted to help with. I didn't know anything really about Hale Kipa until I was able to. I had an introductory lunch meeting with Punky Pled & Cross, who was then the CEO. And I distinctly remember saying, hey, I've not served on a nonprofit board before. And I'm not quite sure what I can do, but I would like to help.
And we still took you in.
Yeah, you guys still took me in. And, I sort of laugh, and I remember Punky laughed about it too, which one thing I said is, well, I'm not even an executive. I was at Hawaiian Electric, right? I said, I'm not an executive. I'm a mid-level manager. And so I don't know if I'm not really anybody.
But look at you now, Scott.
Well, I still feel like I'm not anybody. It's just I've been blessed by being able to take on higher roles. And I've stuck with Hale Kipa just because over the years, I've just seen even more and more how important is the work that Hale Kipa does.
That's so awesome, Scott. We're so happy to have you. What about you, Mike? What brought you to Hale Kipa?
My connection with Hale Kipa is when I was a state legislator serving in 2000, 2010. And we used to have this gentleman walk around with another guy, with another lady, asking for grants and aid. During that time, I was in charge of grants and aid, and they would come and talk to me and ask for advice, how to go about. I thought, well, submit your application, then you got to lobby all the people that are there, 76 of them, and explain to them why you want to have them produce your money. So lo and behold, they were one of my finalists. They got money. Okay, so Punky benefit from that. That's before the new building was built. So they got some money to help them out in their financial means. Then I retired in 2010. Then I was busy working with some other nonprofit, and I work as an electrical engineer. Then Punky asked me, I said, no, Punky, you don't need me. You're set. You got everybody there. So he said, why don't you try? So that's how I came on board. I've been with them for like 12 years, 2011. You know what I mean? Like what Scott mentioned, I mean, what driven me to Hale Kipa is your mission. Because I always look at kids are our future.
Right.
Especially the kids that we take care of. They're caught in a situation where it's not their fault. I mean, they came from a broken family, whatever pregnancy they had or whatever, because we gotta nurture them. You know, like you have a color palette. You have all the different colors. You cannot paint them as gray or black. But you see some of the general products that comes out with this organization. So that's where I kind of stick out to assist and help. And that's why I also help Punky building the new campus, which we finished in 2019. And 2020, we had blessing, and it's a beautiful campus.
Yeah, and we're going to have another blessing because a lot of people could not attend because we were right the day after the opening.
It was
shut down
right before the pandemic, right?
For COVID, exactly. So we are going to do that.
Yeah.
But you said something really important, Mike. You said, our youth is our future, and it's not their fault, right? The circumstances that they're in, and I think that's something that people need to understand because they think, well, the kids put themselves in this situation. For many of the ones that we serve, that's not true. Right. And so we are here to let our youth know that just because they come from these dire situations, it doesn't define who they can be in their future. So mahalo for that. And so I do have another question for you guys. If you could share with the community, because we're hoping that our community will chime in and watch this program, what is it that you would like the community to know about Hale Kipa? As a board member, from your stance, what is it that you would like them to know?
I'd like folks to recognize, well, first off, the need is there. And we all need to step into this because if we can help guide our youth and help their families when they're young, it really, really pays off, right? Because as they get older, hopefully they're on the right track, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is, to me, Hale Kipa is probably one of the best examples of a nonprofit that keeps at it. No matter how hard the times are, right? Funding, economy, of course, pandemic, we all suffered through that. Hale Kipa still is there, and the commitment is there. It doesn't judge these kids, right? Some of these kids, they come into the programs, they run away from the program. Guess what? We welcome them back.
We take them back.
And I really, really feel that if anybody out there in the community, understands and has empathy for these youth, and wants to give them a chance, this is the agency. Hale Kipa is the one.
Great. And I heard a little bug whisper that we do have some openings on our board, right? So Mike, maybe you can share a little bit
As
about...
our incoming chair,
He's
Mike.
our incoming chair, right? What are we
uh,
looking for, Mike?
Well, before I answer that question, Vitas, let me expound what Scott just mentioned regarding the community. I mean, we came out to the Everglades because the Everglades for us is, I hate to use the word, virgin territory. Because it's growing rapidly, and we have a lot of problems when they are rapidly growing because people need to survive. You know what I mean? So for us, I look at Hale Kipa, no matter how small we start, we're gradually growing because when you have something good, it's more like a concentric circle as you reach out because your hand is out there. So we're reaching out to them, but they gotta come to us. We'll talk to them, we're straightforward, we have a mission that we can help them Because the key I'm seeing right now, a lot of these kids are scared because they don't know how to approach things. See, for us, what we're doing right now, we're building self-esteem. That's the only way you can grow. You know what I mean? With that self-esteem, they can move on, but you need the guidance. I think with what Hale Kipa is doing, they're preserving our future by having these kids open their door, because a lot of them are in a broken homes or sex trafficking or whatever. They felt like their life is over, so I'm gonna just end my life. But we provide that opportunity. You know, we give them their role, we're not pushing them. To me, that's what we're looking at, you know. And I'm happy to have that, because now to answer your second question is yes, as far as the board, we need to assess what do we need. Okay, as moving forward, you know, we're having a strategic planning and all that. We have to see where we got to go. Because I think the biggest thing we got to look at, if we get a new board members, we got bankers, we got lawyers, we got to look at more on the risk management side. Because our risk is going to be greater when we cast the net out.
Right.
You know, and also too, we have a lot of different nonprofit agencies, almost similar to what we do, but the question, how can we work with them or be better, but not to intervene with the financial means coming through. So the question, how do we rise and say, please come to Hale Kipa, because it's the house of, the Hale of, you know, hospitality. You know what I mean? So that's what we're saying, e como mai, come in.
E como mai.
You know what I mean? So that, I mean, that's where I look at for the community, because the community got to be open mind on what's going on.
Yeah.
You cannot be blinders because, oh, I live on the Leeward Coast, so the Leeward Coast is taboo, don't touch me.
You know, one of the things that you said, Mike, also is we're looking for board members, especially those who, you know, can bring energy and excitement, right? Because this is such a critical agency, and it's working with our youth, right? We pride ourselves on, like I said, welcoming the youth, helping them as much as we can. We pride ourselves on thinking of ourselves as offering like a refuge, like a pu'uhonua, right? You can come in here, we're not going to judge you. You can leave. If you got to come back, you got to come back, right?
Right.
So I think that's the other thing, just staying real central, very focused on the core values of the agency. We want board members who can really, you know, grab onto that and work with us.
Thank you. And you know, if you want to know more about Hale Kipa, please jump on our website, actually, I think you don't need to say that nowadays, but halekipa.org, okay? And you can find out more about who we are. So mahalo, gentlemen, for joining us. Appreciate you.
Yeah, mahalo nulo.
And this being our very first segment of Kukakuka, we really wanted you to get to know who we are as an organization, but also as people, right? The people who are doing the work, working with you, working with our community and our youth and families. So mahalo for joining us, and we hope that you will tune in. We're going to be bringing you a new segment every month called Kukakuka, Respectful Discussions, and we'll be taking topic areas and bringing in different community organizations, our collaborators, to just talk about those issues. Our next segment is going to cover trauma-informed care. What is that? We're going to have our director of the Office of Wellness and Resiliency from the state, and she will be joining us along with other department directors. So please stay tuned. Please become one of our fans at Kukakuka and join us each month. Mahalo for your time. Aloha, ahui ho, malama pono.